Yeah, I think I'm audible also. Am I audible?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, thank you. I'm Dr. Vaijayanthi Kanabur, and this work is done along with Ms. Uma Jayasimha. I'm from the Department of Food and Nutrition. I'm working as Assistant Professor in Srimati VHD Central Institute of Home Science, Bangalore, India. My topic I've chosen for today is food choice and obesity. We all know that obesity and food choice are very closely linked, and the imbalance between the energy intake and energy expenditure is one of the most important factors leading to food obesity. Now, this many times improper food choice is one of the reasons for obesity. Many studies have been carried out to understand why people choose what they choose, and it continues to be a puzzle for even the scientific community. A number of studies have been conducted to know, is it a free will, or sometimes is it a forced choice? Do we have a choice? If we have a choice, is it possible for us to make a rational decision, taking into consideration all the factors, including health and nutrition as a priority? So for this, we need to understand the ecology of uh, the food choice. For example, if we consider this ecology of food choice operates at four different levels. The influence operates at four different levels, starting from the micro level, the individual level. Uh, it is a person's health status, his biology or genetics, his ability to utilize the food, ability to absorb the food, absorb the nutrients and utilize it. In addition, the experiences related to food, the learning history, the demographic factors, all these operate at the individual level. Now, coming to family environment, this plays a very important role because actually those who make decisions, whether it is with respect to food purchase or food preparation at home or eating out, they are the ones who are actually they are the nutrition gatekeepers for a family. Most of the time it is the adults, it may be parents, or if it is adolescents, they do have a role to play. And children are particularly influenced by the family environment. The parents may be role models. In addition, the feeding styles of a family, what type of food is available at home, all that is decided by the family members. And plus the culture of the culture and tradition also plays a role here. Now coming to the next level, that is micro environment. This is the local community, what kind of food is available in the neighborhood. Plus in case of children, it is schools and colleges. The peer influence that plays an important role, and for adults it is a workplace, work environment. Then plus the availability of the restaurants and the food outlets, they also have a role in deciding what kind of food we choose. In addition, the macro environment, that is the policies of the government, particularly related to food, the economic policies and the food industry, the level of technology and the availability of transportation. Particularly, this is important because the perishable foods, many times they may not be able to reach if there is no good transportation and cold storage and all. Then food preservation techniques that are available, and plus the media. Nowadays, the influence of media is, it is increasing day by day, and particularly even the influence of social media cannot be ruled out. So all these factors together influence what we choose. So it is an interaction of all these factors at different levels. They finally decide what we are going to consume. So food choice, though sometimes it may appear to be a free will, it is, sometimes it can also be a forced choice. So an interaction of various factors ultimately decide what we are going to eat. Now coming to the food decision making framework, if you consider this, each one has their own food goals at an individual level, at a micro level. Each one of us, whenever we are consuming food, again, it varies from one situation to another. On a day-to-day basis, this varies. If you're hungry, you want to satisfy your hunger, or maybe you want to try out a new food. So, depending on what is the goal, that is the first thing. Then you analyze what are the alternatives, whether you have to prepare the food yourself, or you can outsource it, or you can order the food, or you can go to a nearby restaurant. So these are the alternatives that are available. And then out of all this, You decide, you select one alternative, and then you're going to implement, and that is a food choice. Now, coming to food choice, there are some studies which have shown that on an average, a person, an average person on an average day makes about 200 food-related decisions. But what happens is many of these decisions are routine decisions. We don't think much about it, and we make these decisions without, paying a lot of attention. So it is also observed that, many times we are preoccupied with the other concerns, when we are having our food, and we pay little attention to what we are actually consuming. Okay, so it is said instead of food, everything else is on our mind. It may be kids, it may be relationship, it may be some problems, it may be sometimes we are very busy attending our mobiles, or maybe we are answering an email, we are multitasking, we are doing so many things at a time, and food may not be there, on our mind. Now, if this happens, we may not be able to pay attention to what we are consuming. We are also not paying attention to how much we are consuming. So both the type of food we are consuming as well as the quantity of food we are consuming may be inappropriate, leading to a weight gain. Some studies where they have studied the mindfulness based approaches, it has shown that mindful eating, which means you are actually consuming food in response to your internal cues. When you're hungry, you're consuming. For your internal cues, you are actually responding. In that case, it is, they have shown that we will be able to change your food habits towards healthier habits, as well as the quantity of food that you consume can also be regulated. Now I can give an example, about regarding the practice that is there in Indian families. This is a traditional practice. Food is normally served on a plate. That meal plate is Thali. It is called Thali system. It's a meal plate where you are served different varieties, including a cereal. Sometimes it is two cereals. Plus you are given vegetables, you are given pulses, you are given a dairy product, you are given salads. All these are served together and offered to the person. And normally it is, it is not good manners to leave anything on the table. And if they want a second serving, they can go for it. So basically what is happening is you are not giving a choice, in the sense, you are making them consume all the food that is cooked. Okay, so you're making sure that you're not consuming only what is tasty or what, what you like, but it is rather, what is cooked for the entire family is consumed. But slowly this is also changing in some parts of the country. Coming to a study that we have conducted, this is regarding food decision making in families with adolescents. We have selected adolescents because as children grow up, though they're, it is, they are financially, many times they are dependent on parents, but still they are not very happy with the decisions that are made by parents. So they do actually want to raise their concern, and their needs also have to be addressed. So we selected families with adolescents. The objective of this study was to study the food decision making among the subjects with respect to food purchasing, preparation, and eating out. The methodology we used, the family was considered as a unit of study. So family, as I already told, with at least one adolescent, that is in the age group of 13 to 17 years, were selected. Both males and females were included in study. Then sample size was 60 families. By purposive sampling, we selected the samples, and it was done in Bangalore, in South India. It was done in an urban area. We developed a questionnaire, interviewer administered questionnaire, and then it was pre-tested on 10% of the sample, and then it was used for data collection. The food decisions were divided into three categories. That is, decisions related to food preparation, decisions related to purchasing, and decisions related to eating out. Now coming to the general information of the subjects, overall there were 243 family members belonging to 60 families. If you observe the type of family, majority, that is 75% of the families were nuclear families, and 25% were joint families. That is, either they were staying with their parents or they were staying with their siblings' families. Then size of the family consisting of 2 to 4 members was considered, that was predominant, that was about 75%. Coming to age group of the subjects, adults whose age ranged from 20 to 60 years, there were 55%. They formed a major group of this study. And adolescents, of course, every family there were adolescents, and there were 36. And BMI of the subjects, there were no underweight. I mean, nobody was underweight. And 25 to 29.9 BMI, that is overweight. There were 50%. 50% of the subjects actually were overweight, whereas 18% of the subjects were obese. So we, based on the data that we collected using the questionnaire, the factors affecting food preparation at home. We ranked all those factors, and we found that taste was considered to be the most important factor why actually people wanted to prepare food at home. Then the ease of preparation was the second most important factor, followed by to avoid food synthetic additives. Some of the people who actually were preparing food, they felt that the food that is available outside is full of synthetic colors and preservatives, so they felt that was not healthy, so they wanted to prepare food at home. That was one reason. Then they also felt that the fat content could be regulated, because they felt the food that is available outside many times to attract the customers, this is their perception. They felt they added a lot of butter and cream to attract the customers, and that may not be good for health. So they felt fat content could be regulated. That is why they wanted to cook food at home. And they also felt it is easier to pack the lunch also, whether they took it to school or some members for working. It was a working lunch also. So they felt it is easier to pack it, and so they prepared food. And of course, some of them even enjoyed cooking food. Then coming to factors affecting food purchase. The most important factor which was ranked first was the selling price. The first consideration was the price of the food, followed by the date of manufacture, then value for money, then availability. Of course, if the food was available, that was one of the consideration, and ingredients and nutritive value. Though they went through the nutritive value, they felt that this really was not a very important factor in deciding whether they wanted to choose a food or not. Then coming to frequency of eating out in a month, it was found that 54% of the subjects, they used to go out for either lunch or dinner or any one of the meals on weekends, whereas more than about 30%, they used to consume more than 6 times in a month, and a very small percentage, that is 4% of them, they consumed on a daily basis. Coming to food choice with respect to eating out, the reason that was quoted for eating out, why they were choosing the type of foods, it was mainly the craving for variety. They felt what was not available at home, they felt they wanted to try those foods, and that is why they wanted to go out and have food outside. Then sometimes when they were in the inevitable situation of being away from home, maybe for some reason when they were away from home, they felt that time they had no choice, and they wanted to have food outside. And sometimes lack of food to prepare food also was, lack of time to prepare food was also a reason. So overall, you can say that food choice decisions, they vary with the situations. So what kind of food we choose when we are purchasing, whether it is raw food or ready to eat food, the most important factor that was found in our subjects was the selling price and the availability of food. And preparation at home, taste and ease of preparation, they felt they were the important factors in deciding. Whereas for eating out, variety and inevitability, because when they were away from home, they had no choice to come back home and have food, so they preferred eating out. So if you analyze all these factors, you can say that health and nutrition were not priorities in food choice among these subjects. So other factors too dominate. It was more health and nutrition were not given that importance. They did not link that to their health and obesity and things like that. Though some of them, as I told, some 18% of our subjects were obese. Even in case of those children, those subjects, also nutrition and health were not an important consideration. So there is a need to create awareness, particularly regarding the significance of health and nutrition when they are making any of the decisions regarding food, whether it is purchasing or preparation at home or eating out. So at micro level, if it is, it can give us some clues regarding what can be done at the macro level. Thank you for your patient hearing.